This is your top story this Monday. The South African National Defence Force has reaffirmed, or rather confirmed, that a massive fire which broke out at Waterkloof Air Force Base in Pretoria yesterday has been contained.
That's right. SANDF spokesperson Brigadier Andries Mahapa says the fire started at a bulk fuel storage facility after a suspected leak from a burst pump.
Let me just clarify the issue. The fire started around 1900 hours. And the reason for the fire for now, it will be too early for us to make that determination because the fire chief, they are busy with investigation and they'll continue throughout the night until tomorrow morning. And however, according to the fire chief, what we spoke about during the initial assessment, it was just at the petrol tank. The petrol pump, so to say, the petrol pump where there was some bit of fuel that started there. None of the tank were affected. There was no explosion. Within 30 to 45 minutes, the fire was managed to be contained. As we speak now, we are leaving the Air Force because the fire was contained, so there's no issues regarding that. So everything is under control.
All right, let's get to the latest on what we know. Our reporter on the ground is Mbali Thethani, live to us now from Waterkloof. And Mbali, of course, still early days. From your vantage point, because I understand we can't have access into the actual facility, what are you able to see as of this morning?
Well, of course, Ayanda, we do know that a fire broke out last night here at the Waterkloof Air Force Base. But, of course, you are certainly right. We can't really see the actual place where this fire did take place. We know that it took place at the petrol pump here at the Air Force Base. And of course, the reason being that we cannot go into this specific place, it is a military base, but at the same time, speaking just shortly to Colonel Mahapa, saying that, of course, the area in which this fire took place, Ayanda, he says, it is quite dangerous because that is where fuel is stored. So even personnel here on the site are not allowed to go to that specific section, and it has been cordoned off. And this is, of course, as investigations continue. Now, we do understand that investigations are still quite early, and we know that the preliminary report, just to clarify exactly what took place last night when that fire broke out at around 7 o'clock, and it was contained at around 8 p.m. last night. But just monitoring, what is actually taking place outside here, we have not spotted, a number of, whether it was officials going in, but we have seen a number of the staff going in this morning as they make their way to work. But in terms of any firefighters right now that we've managed to spot, there's been none so far. There are no police as well. You know that this is a military base, so the security is controlled by the South African Defence Force.
But of course, many people will be making associations between this fire, the fire we saw in Parliament, perhaps even the fire that we saw at Charlotte Maxeke. Important to emphasize that at this stage, police are saying that they suspect no foul play.
That's certainly right. We know that concerns have been raised, Ayanda, and rightly so. We have seen problems at Parliament. When that fire broke out earlier this year, there have also been attacks at the Constitutional Court. There was also an attack at the Department of Justice in Cape Town. You would also remember at the same time, Ayanda, we saw just last year during those July unrests, of course, there were riots and there was fires that also broke out at a number of points in this country. This place and that fire taking place at this specific place where I'm at right now, it is a very strategic point. It is a very strategic national key point. So when you look at that issue, it is quite important and quite significant, and the time in which this fire takes place. But I must also add that this is also not a national key point, from my understanding, but rather a military base. But when you look at the political landscape and when you look at the fires which have taken place in this country, one cannot ignore the trend in which we are seeing.
Yeah, you speak about politics, Mbali, before we let you go. Of course, for a lot of people, the Waterkloof Air Force Base was significant a couple of years back because it's also where the Guptas landed their plane a short while ago. It's not necessarily related to this fire, but it's certainly one of the things that is being considered when you just try to place the significance of this particular location.
You're absolutely right, Ayanda. And the last time that this place made headlines was, of course, in 2013 when that Gupta plane landed with at least 300 guests who were expected to attend that wedding, in which we saw in Sun City in 2013. And now it is back in the spotlight once more, and during a very crucial time in our country where we continue to see sporadic fires taking place at very crucial points. But speaking to Colonel Mahapa, he says that they suspect no foul play in this fire, and he says that he understands the concerns by many South Africans, especially during such a crucial time where we've seen the burning of Parliament, when we've seen riots in the country, and he says that he understands the concerns being raised, but when they look at their own internal investigations and they look at how this fire started, he says right now there is no foul play.
Mbali Thethani, live to us there from the capital, just outside the Waterkloof Air Force Base. Mbali Thethani, thanks very much indeed.